What's up, guys? Today we're going to switch from the E30 convertible to the sedan. You guys are catching this about mid-project, so a quick little rundown on it. I'm LS swapping this car. You may have seen it in other videos, but I already have the engine and trans in, and I'll go over those details later. But what I'm going to focus on in this video is the 5-lug swap. You can see I already have the front done, but now I have to get the rear figured out, and it's pretty straightforward. You swap in parts, you know, from other BMWs. It's like my setup's from the E36 318 Ti, and basically it's a, you know, plug and play ordeal. Take the old stuff out, put the new in. The only hang up with this car is you've seen the wheels on the back. They need this special key, not even like a special socket key. It's literally just 17 millimeter, but the way the wheels are designed, it has to be a very thin wall socket to get in there on the lug. And I ordered what I was told would be the right socket, but $40 later, it still didn't fit. And in order to swap out the rear, I'm gonna have to just drop out the whole rear subframe, because with the wheels on, I just can't get a wrench in there. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and rotate this car around. So I want the back of the car this way so I have more room. But anyway, let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing I'm doing as a part of this is just breaking the axle nuts loose. I'm not 100% if I'm going to be swapping the axles over on this one, but it's like there's no other way I'm getting that axle nut off when the trailing arm's off the car. So I'm going to go ahead and set you guys up and watch me try and break this off, because I've already started trying and it's not going well. But it's like, you know, standard little socket and breaker bar. This was a 32 millimeter on mine, and you have to take like a hammer and I used a hammer and a screwdriver, pop this in and put some needle nose and yanked it out of there. But anyway, I'm gonna let you guys watch, because it's being quite ridiculous. Well, that didn't work out. Yeah, didn't even break loose. I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and take it off the wheel dollies, and we'll hopefully get this figured out. Alright, so starting out on this, I'm just going to get the little things out of the way. I'm going to be disconnecting the brake lines and the sway bar. And basically, whenever you're doing this, you have to take the drive shaft off. And of course, mine's already out of the car. But then you have to disconnect up here where the diff actually mounts to the car. And then there's the 2 subframe bolts on either side, and the two shock bolts on the bottom. And that ought to be it. So I'm gonna go ahead and crack at this, and we'll get back to y'all. Okay, so starting with the brake lines, I got a 7/16 line here. And when I went to turn it, it wanted to spin the rubber portion behind it. So let me get these vice grips on and hopefully stop it from spinning all the way in two. Woo! Yep. High score. I hope that got it. Yeah, there we go. And for the sway bar here, it's just a 13 mil. Basically up here is a 19 millimeter through bolt. It's there's like the ear that comes off of this diff cover, and I'll get a better shot for y'all, but it's just 19 mil on either side, and I'm just gonna do a wrench and socket, and hopefully this one won't be too much of a hassle. Yeah, this one's gonna suck. Alright, so got the bolt out. I tried to just use a 1/2 inch ratchet on this. I just went ahead and did the old breaker bar. Came right out, and you'll get the nut off the back side and just have to push up on the diff with the other hand and pull the bolt out so you get all the pressure out of it. But yeah, after that, we're gonna be moving to the shock bolts on either side, and there'll just be a couple of more little things we gotta do before we drop this subframe. Alright, and just a little bit more fun today with things springing out on me is, you know, I supported the control arm with the jack here to get the bolt out of the shock, and you know, I knew it was going to happen anyway, but make sure you let out slowly on these control arms once you take the bolt out, because the coil spring back there, it will come right out at you, or you can get really lucky. Yeah, there we go. And by the way, these bolts holding the strut in, they are just 17 millimeters. Next thing, it's like you want to disconnect this connector as well if you care about the wheel speed sensor. I'm just gonna snip it, but anyway, yeah, one of the last things we got to do before the final two subframe bolts is these little Allen head guys here on the side of the car. Close up, it's like, yep, right here and here, there's 6 millimeter Allen heads. Basically, you take them out, and then you can get this little metal piece out that's behind this bolt, and this is a 22 millimeter, if I remember right. Yeah, it should be 22 millimeter. Anyway, yeah, you're gonna take those two out. It's the same on either side. Take those out. Then you want to support the subframe with a jack, mainly just support the diff, and then take these nuts off, and then you can pop these little dust shield cover things off, and then drop it all down with the jack. I'll go ahead and knock that out and get back to it. Okay, so it is, so basically I've got everything disconnected that I need to, other than these last two subframe nuts right here, and I did confirm they are a 22 millimeter. And a couple other things you have to deal with if you have a pristine E30, or one that you actually care about, like everything working on, is right here. That is probably that is the ABS sensor wire, and also the parking brake wire, or parking brake cables. I think you can see them right at the tip of my finger there. It's one of those things I don't really care about. It's not gonna work anyway, so I'm just gonna sawzall it when it comes to it. But yeah, get your jack under the diff pretty much, or maybe, you know, under there with a board or whatever, but basically just support it so that, you know, you're not gonna have this thing falling on your head, and don't be under it while you're loosening it up either. But yeah, these last two nuts out and we should be good to go. So I tried a lot of things and just could not get the subframe to drop with the diff and everything still in the car. So like I ended up having to pull the diff out, and that's it right there, that guy. And to get it out, you know, it's like we already got this guy off, and then you take the axles out, and then it's these 4 19mm bolts, and they're a pain to get to. I used a wrench and a hammer, and I'd like get it loose and drop the jack and let it go down a little more, get more clearance to get up on these bolts and knock them loose. Anyway, we're back to it under here. I'm gonna, since you know it's like I've said about 100 times, I can't get these wheels off, so I'm gonna go ahead and unbolt the trailing arms from the subframe and just drop it out. So it looks like it's gonna be 4 of those 19mm bolts, 2 on either side. So I'll get those yanked out and give you some little progress in a minute. Alright, this has been an adventure for sure. I didn't film a lot of it because there was just nowhere that I could put this camera where you guys could see and not risk breaking the camera. But yeah, I have the 5-lug swap in here. Yeah, it's like I couldn't get that subframe out, so I just went ahead and bolted it up, and thank goodness the internet came through this time, because I've never done this before. But yeah, basically, you saw I just disconnected everything and got those bolts out. And I'll tell you, when the wheel is still on the car, it's not impossible, but it is not a venture worth doing. I was thinking for the longest time about that sawzall, just destroying these and zipping it off there, because they're bent anyway. They don't hold air. Well, the amazing thing is it all bolted up. It's almost as good as Chevy, almost. Some modification required. And like I said, I couldn't film much any of this, but just a note, even if you're not doing a 5-lug swap, you're just taking these arms off. It's like you can see, hopefully, you know, that's weird lighting, but the bolt for this arm here, back in here, you cannot, well, you could probably force it, but you're better off whenever you're taking this particular bolt out to take the hose out on the fuel tank. It runs from here to up in here, if you can't see that, but runs right along there, and it's directly in the way when you're trying to get that bolt out. So yeah, that's about the end of it for this one. I'm very tired, so I'm just gonna clean all this up, and well, that's it. See you the next one.